What if one silent act inside a closed military system could change the political future of an entire country? History shows that regimes rarely collapse from loud protests alone. They weaken first from quiet resistance within. A single general questioning orders, delaying cooperation, or showing hesitation can signal something much bigger beneath the surface. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Impact Report. Please subscribe my channel, because today we are explaining why this Belarus general's defiance matters far more than most people think, and why it could have long-term consequences, not only for Belarus, but for the entire region. On the surface, Belarus continues to present an image of strict discipline and unwavering loyalty. Military parades move in perfect formation, official statements repeat the same confident tone, and the leadership insists that the armed forces stand firmly behind President Alexander Lukashenko. This exterior image is carefully constructed. In authoritarian systems, appearance is power. The regime depends on looking united, stable, and unchallenged. Any sign of disorder is treated as a threat because it encourages questions. When a general shows defiance, even subtly, it weakens this carefully maintained outer shell. The public may not hear the full details, but rumors spread fast, and within elite circles, such signals are impossible to ignore. This defiance becomes even more significant when we consider Belarus's strategic position. The country sits between Russia and NATO members, making its military posture highly sensitive. Belarus is often portrayed as Russia's most loyal ally, especially since the Ukraine war reshaped Eastern European security dynamics. The idea that a Belarusian general might resist or question decisions related to military cooperation, troop deployment, or political loyalty creates uncertainty. That uncertainty damages the regime's external image and raises doubts among allies and adversaries alike. Inside the system, the atmosphere is tight and cautious. Officers watch their words, loyalty is constantly measured, and careers depend on obedience. The interior environment of power is controlled by fear rather than trust. In this context, defiance does not always mean open rebellion. It can appear as hesitation, selective compliance, or a refusal to fully commit resources. The fact that a general reached a point where defiance became noticeable suggests deep internal pressure. This short glimpse into the inner workings reveals that not everyone at the top feels confident about the current direction of the country. Military performance depends heavily on unity of command. When leadership is aligned, orders flow smoothly and execution is efficient. However, once doubts enter the system, performance begins to suffer. A general's defiance can disrupt coordination, slow decision-making, and reduce morale among lower-ranking officers. Soldiers look to their commanders for clarity and confidence. If they sense uncertainty at the top, that feeling spreads downward. Over time, this can weaken operational readiness, reduce effectiveness in joint operations, and complicate any large-scale military commitments. This issue becomes even more critical when we consider Belarus's role in regional security. The country has been expected to provide logistical support, territory access, and potential manpower in regional conflicts. If key military leaders are hesitant or resistant, Belarus's reliability as a partner comes into question. This affects not only Belarus's own defense posture, but also the calculations of neighboring countries and major powers watching closely. In geopolitics, perception can be as powerful as reality. Authoritarian regimes rely on strong internal safety mechanisms to maintain control. These include intelligence services, surveillance, loyalty checks, and rapid disciplinary actions. A general's defiance directly tests these safety features. If the regime punishes the general harshly, it risks creating fear and resentment among other elites who may privately share similar concerns. If it responds softly, it signals weakness and invites further dissent. Either choice carries risk. This balancing act exposes the vulnerability of the system and shows that even the strongest control mechanisms have limits. The unique selling point of this situation lies in who is defying authority. This is not a civilian protester, an opposition activist, or a low ranking officer. This is a general, someone who understands the system from the inside and has spent years operating within it. Such figures rarely act impulsively. When they show defiance, it is usually calculated and rooted in serious concern. This makes the event far more meaningful than public demonstrations, which authoritarian regimes often suppress with force. Another unique aspect is the timing. Belarus is under heavy international pressure due to sanctions, economic strain, and diplomatic isolation. The leadership depends heavily on Russia for economic and political survival. Any internal military disagreement during this period amplifies instability. It raises questions about how far Belarus is willing or able to go in supporting external conflicts. It also hints at potential fractures between national interests and external obligations. The political price of this defiance is significant. For the general involved, the cost could include loss of position, surveillance, or forced retirement. For the regime, the cost is erosion of trust within the elite. Once loyalty is questioned, it becomes harder to govern smoothly. Leaders may respond by tightening control, which often increases fear and decreases efficiency. Over time, this creates a cycle of repression and declining performance. There is also a broader economic and social price. Military instability affects investor confidence, diplomatic relations, and public morale. Even if the public is not told the full story, people sense instability through economic hardship, increased security measures, and changes in official rhetoric. This quiet unease can slowly undermine the regime's legitimacy, even without open opposition. From a strategic perspective, this defiance forces external actors to rethink their assumptions. Russia may question how dependable Belarus truly is. Western governments may see new openings or warning signs. Neighboring countries adjust their security planning. A single internal disagreement can ripple outward, influencing regional calculations and long-term strategies. It is important to understand that authoritarian systems rarely collapse overnight. They weaken gradually. Small cracks appear first within elite circles. Generals, ministers, and insiders begin to question decisions, protect themselves, and quietly distance from risky policies. Public protests often come later. In this sense, a general's defiance is not an isolated event, but part of a larger pattern that analysts watch very closely. This situation also highlights the human factor within power structures. Military leaders are not machines. They worry about their country's future, their soldiers' lives, and their own legacy. When orders conflict with personal judgment or national interest, tension arises. A general's defiance may reflect moral concerns, strategic disagreements, or fear of being held accountable in the future. These motivations make such actions deeply significant. In conclusion, this Belarus general's defiance matters far more than it appears at first glance. It challenges the image of unity, exposes internal stress, and weakens confidence in military performance. It tests the regime's safety mechanisms and signals potential cracks within the elite. The price of this defiance is high, but the cost of ignoring it could be even higher for the leadership. Moments like these often pass quietly, but history shows they are the early warnings of deeper change. Stay connected with the Impact Report, because understanding these subtle shifts is the key to understanding where power is really moving.